Hi, it's me again with Corel tips and tricks. First of all, this is kind of ugly. Second of all, I did it a completely different way. If people that have followed my videos, I've done this a completely different way. And I was just thinking about that this might work pretty good. I'm going to draw an ellipse and hit Control D. And then I'm going to bring in another circle. And then I'm going to take a 2-point line and hit P. I'm going to rotate that line 20.3 degrees. No, excuse me, 10 point, I'm going to say 10.2. And then I'm going to Control D and duplicate it and mirror it. So that is much bigger than 20 degrees, and there's a reason for that. And we'll see why in just a second. Now, normally I would draw something like this and then put it in that space. So I'm going to make a envelope. Normally I would draw it and put it in there if you followed enough of my videos. But I started thinking, why don't we take the graph paper tool? I've got it set on 12 and 12. Hold down the control button. Matter of fact, you don't even have to hold down the control button. You could actually, if you notice that these are elongated, you could actually maybe shorten the width up, but we're not going to go there. Anyway, you got the graph paper tool. Don't use the table tool, use the graph paper, which is underneath your polygon tool. So have it selected, go up to Effects and Envelope, and place Create Envelope Form, and see you put it in there. Now I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select both of them and go EC, and then I'm going to move that over. I've actually got both of them there, so I'm going to try to separate them. Yeah. I don't really need these circles anymore. And I'm working in the center of the page, so I don't need it. So now I could draw anything I want to. You just got to remember you've got to start and end up on the same line if you wanted to go for a continuous. So let's just kind of, maybe we'll draw something different. So we actually need to end up over there. So I'm going to go down and just do a short version of this. Because I'm going to have to come back up. Well, if you want the line to continue, and you know what, we can maybe make it a little shorter in the middle. We just got to remember we got to get back over here, and we can do something like this. Well, I don't want too many blacks together. Well, I'm going to back up here, and I'm just going to go here. So, you know what? That's not going to work. Let me back up. You know, one thing that's nice about this, I'm pretty sure I can take this and delete those. And that might even be pretty cool. You know what? That might give me an idea. Let's just do this. Well, skip that one. Kind of make it look like boxes. But we still need to get this line, and it might be better to start here and go in and connect. Well, I don't want too many lines there. But, you know, if you remember from the first, well, let's just call that good. Then you could do anything else you wanted, you know, once you, because you got your starting and stopping points. You just don't want anything to go to the edge again. Let's just call that good. Now, what's nice about this, you can move the graph paper out of the way. And here's a little lesson. If we go left click, right click, see all the lines? Let's go back to the fill and let's weld it. And now look, there's no lines. That's a little bit of good information. So you remember that we went 10.2 or whatever. We're going to, well, I want it left click, right click. And I'm going to Control D, Alternate C. but I'm only going to rotate it 20 degrees. What that did, that overlapped our lines, so they'll weld good. And then we can go Control D, 40 degrees. Control D all the way around. This one might look pretty cool. Let's move that out of the way, and then let's weld this. And it's going to weld really well because the lines are over each other. Now, this is not, you know what? This might be a pretty cool way to do it. Smart fill on the outside, that's only going to do that. And then you could actually take other colors of the smart fill tool, and we could use green on this one. We could use, and just stay with me here a second, blue on this one. And let's make that one red. Now you're going, I don't want to color those all in. Well, Control G to group it, Control D to duplicate it, Alternate C to rotate it, and rotate it 20 degrees. Now I would very strongly suggest you move that out of the way. Control D, 40 degrees. Of course, I don't think it looks as cool because they're not really connected, but it's just an idea of how you could do things. And I think I was just sitting there watching TV tonight, and I thought, you know what? You can make the envelope before. And I might even make a part 2 of this because I've just thought of something else you could do. Anyway, hope that gave you an idea or two when you're making your next graphic like that, Aztec calendar, whatever you want to call it. I like it connected. I think it's a must, and you can always do what I always do, turn it red, and because it's all one piece, you could get the interactive fill tool and swipe across and make one side yellow, yellow, and then bring in a black box, really make it stand out. Object, order, back a page. Anyway, hope that gave you an idea or two, and thank you for watching.